Hi, everyone. I'm Kalila Reynolds, and welcome to another edition of Taking Stock Live. We're bringing you all the latest business news and telling you how it will affect you and your money. Now, before we get started, remember to hit the like button, subscribe to this channel, and later on, of course, you can head over to the website, KalilaReynolds.com. Make sure that you subscribe to the newsletter. It will come to your inbox twice a week. I see some people already know the drill. They're already dropping their location, but let me ask the question anyway. Where is everyone joining us from this evening? Drop your location in the comments. What part of the country, what part of the world are you right now? But before that, here's a look at what's coming up on tonight's show, followed by what's hot in business. Now, come on, let's get this money.
Paramount Trading just reported a 300% increase in net profits. That's its best revenue quarter ever. What led to the manufacturing company's record-breaking performance? CEO Hugh Graham will join us. And the analysts weigh in on the latest market developments. Do you have a pension plan? Chances are you're part of the 82% of Jamaicans without a pension. The Pensions Industry Association of Jamaica is trying to change that. We'll discuss. Elon Musk has finally completed his acquisition of Twitter, but what happens next? And it's earnings season in the United States. How did some of the top companies perform? But first, here's What's Hot, brought to you by JMMB Group, your best interest at heart. 36,000 tons of construction-grade limestone will be shipped from Jamaica to the United States this year. The shipment is the first of its kind for Jamaica and represents a major win for the limestone mining industry. According to Jampro, the limestone will be used to produce concrete aggregates in Savannah, Georgia. The agency said this shipment is the start of a series of regular deliveries into southeastern U.S. markets. Jamaica has one of the purest deposits of limestone globally, with over 50 billion tons of proven limestone reserves. Jampro said the global market size for limestone was valued at $73 billion in 2020 and is projected to reach $113.6 billion by 2028. Two Sagicor employees have been suspended for alleged fraud of more than $50 million. The employees have reportedly been charged with conspiracy to defraud and breaches of the Proceeds of Crime Act. According to the Jamaica Gleaner, between August and October this year, the employees conspired and defrauded U.S. currency accounts belonging to several Sagicor customers using fraudulent accounts they created. Sagicor said its management uncovered the fraud through its internal security systems. Haiti's already struggling economy is facing another devastating hit as the United States Department of Agriculture is set to shut down its mango pre-clearance program in Haiti by the end of January. The closure will effectively end Haiti's ability to export its Francisque mangoes to the U.S. The USDA blamed the program's closure on the worsening political and social challenges in Haiti, citing the safety of its inspectors as a major concern. Haitian officials said that the closure will seriously impact farmers, noting that last year, the sector recorded more than $12 million in revenue. Elon Musk is now the self-proclaimed chief twit following his successful acquisition of Twitter. The $44 billion deal was finalized last Thursday, putting the world's richest man in charge of one of the world's most influential social media platforms. Musk's first move as the boss was to fire several top Twitter execs, including CEO Parag Agrawal, CFO Ned Segal, and policy head Vijay Gad. The acquisition ends months of back and forth between Musk and Twitter. After initially agreeing to buy the company in April, Musk attempted to back out of the deal, first citing the number of bot accounts on the platform, and then using allegations raised by a company whistleblower. The news was met with mixed reactions on social media, with some calling for a boycott of Twitter and Tesla, while others championed the move as a win for free speech. What's Hot was brought to you by JMMB Group, your best interest at heart. This segment of Taking Stock is brought to you by Bulwark Insurance Agency, insurance made easy.
Welcome back, everybody. Let's shout out some of our early viewers. Let me see who we have online this evening, starting with Rodcliffe Green, who posted our first comment all the way from Portmore. How is it right now in Portmore? Is it hot? Is it cool? It's been raining a lot all over the island, so we dodged another storm, thank goodness. Antoinette says she is here waiting in cold Arizona. It's gonna be a great night. Hi, Antoinette. Fun fact, Antoinette is actually my middle name. So hey, without the I though, just Antoinette, not Antoinette, like the fancy French Marie Antoinette. They left out the iota on my one for some reason. Javon says, hi moneymakers, just want to say congrats on turning 3. Thank you so much, Kevon. He says you're making an impact and I believe you will reach the change, that your reach will change the current and future generations' views on finance. I surely hope so. That is the mission around these parts. Colette says, Kingston, ready to get that money. Moses joining us from Trinidad and Tobago, TT in the house. Christine, Kingston 19 in the house. Then we have Orville, regular viewer, joining us from Spanish Town. Shout out to Orville. Kamoy is in Brooklyn, New York. Alton is in Port Antonio, Portland. Nessa in Old Harbor in the house. Lenworth, he knows that what's the deal. He says investing is the new sexy. So let's make it cool to talk about money. Michael is in Longville Park, Freetown. And then we have Nano Sense watching from far, far away. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. So a lot is going on as usual. And Paramount Trading recently reported one of its best quarters ever. Actually, I think it was the best quarter ever, not just one off. The company recorded a 60% increase in revenues and a 300% increase in net profit. So that's 4 times what they normally make. It's pretty impressive, right? So here to tell us how they accomplished this is founder and CEO of Paramount Trading, Hugh Graham. Hi, Hugh. Good evening.
Let me open. Yes, good evening, Kalila.
You might need to turn on your camera, Hugh. Yes, there we go.
We're good. We're good.
Yes. Good to see you.
Perfect.
It's been a minute. I don't think I've seen you since COVID.
Yes. COVID has caused some changes, but we're getting back together again and making things happen.
Absolutely. And it's actually your first time on this show. So welcome to Taking Stock.
Yes, it's good to be here. And I hope that your viewers, your listeners would be equally excited to have me on the program and talking to you and talking to them.
I'm sure they are, given what you are reporting. Now, Paramount has been around for over 30 years, but you still have quite a few people who might not be familiar with the company and what you do. So just tell us what you do over there at Paramount Trading.
Okay, basically, we're a chemical company. So we're involved in industry. So we make bleach, for example, for a lot of persons who market bleach that you would see in the supermarket or on the shelves of shops, as an example. We make lube oil, like engine oil and oil for industry. So again, they're called white label. So we do brands for companies that are marketing companies. We have food chemicals, as in chemicals that goes into food, either to make it taste better, last longer on the shelf, like a preservative, and make it look better in terms of like a drink, so it's not separating. And also industrial chemicals, so the hand sanitizers. Some people might remember that we were the primary support behind the government during the COVID period when there was no vaccination and all of that. And
I remember.
So we were there supporting the government to allow for the country to keep going. And the companies that also donated alcohol to the government, we were their partners in packaging those products for them. So a little bit of what we do. So we're the background people making things work.
Awesome. I understand that you also have a trucking company. What role does that play in the business?
Yes, so we do trucking and transport, so a logistics arm. So not only that we move our own products to deliver to our customers or on behalf of our customers, but we also, if you want to say, sell the excess capacity that we have to our customers. So yes, we haul containers and goods for our customers that depend on us to do that in a reliable and cost-effective way.
Makes sense. So Paramount Trading has a presence in a lot of industries based on the things that you told me that you just manufacture and distribute. So you're in construction, hotels, bauxite and mining, restaurants, manufacturing. You also sell to homeowners. How much do each of these contribute to the overall business?
So the segments from the, if you call it raw material sales, as in imported, not really touched or changed in any way, that now is about 1.1 billion from the 1.8 that we did last year, last period. The rest of that is primarily from the manufacturing, since we have moved into manufacturing to do like bleach and lubricants, as I said before. So now we're growing the manufacturing part of the business, because as COVID has taught us that we need to have some local capacity, because when the other countries closed their borders and stopped shipping, stuff like alcohol to us, where we needed for our COVID fight, we realized that we more than ever need to have some local capacity to have products
Absolutely.
manufactured in Jamaica.
Absolutely. So I do remember Paramount being at the forefront when you manufacturing and producing hand sanitizers for for everybody basically. But COVID-19 would have also seen the closure or the slowdown of many of the industries that you supply. So how did that affect the company?
So we were affected by, the same things that all persons were affected. But the good thing is that we pivoted, and we just changed early. We recognized that we had to change and we had to do things differently. And we were equipped to do so because, fortuitously, and some person would say the blessing of the Father, years ago we bought Johnson Diverse's factory, like 14 years ago. So we were equipped to make that change and to start to manufacture and package hand sanitizer that helped the country in general. So that helped us. And when like lube oil wasn't doing well because there are no cars running, because 3 months everything was locked down, we kept employees at work, and we're also one of the companies that were allowed to function during the lockdown. So yeah, it worked well both for Paramount and for Jamaica, and yeah, to God be praised.
Well, that's great. Well, let's talk about these results. And I see a question coming in the chat. So let's just take the question from Elaine to introduce the results. Elaine wants to know why we didn't see this type of increase during the COVID-19 pandemic. Which product lines are responsible for the massive increase in revenue? So first of all, set the scene for us. What happened in this past quarter?
Right. So some things have changed in the last quarter, in that The manufacturing has stepped up. So we made some changes in our manufacturing and in our factory setup. So we employed or onboarded a factory manager with a lot more experience than we had, and that contributed to the change in the manufacturing to deliver better quality products and more products in a timely way. So we got better at that. Also, as to the question, raw materials, which was a big part of what we do, was not the main player during the COVID lockdown period. So if you were not selling toilet paper or selling food or bleach or hand sanitizer, then you really weren't doing much because there wasn't really much need for anything else. So that's the difference in the change. And we spent a lot of time during the COVID time to prepare ourselves because we thought that there would be an end, or there would be a different day to the day of the heavy lockdown. So we spent a lot of time preparing not just physical plant and so on, but also the upskilling and the mental fortitude and the change that would be necessary coming out of COVID.
So even though you're now seeing these results, it is not a new thing because the seeds for these results were sown some time ago.
Yes, so the work really continued, and we did a lot of work during that time. We didn't waste the opportunities that we had according to how we saw the opportunities. We really, dig our heels in and try to make the best of it within the circumstance.
Yeah, it's an interesting point though, Hugh, because we see results like this, and many business owners are looking for that magic bullet, right? And they want to forex their profits in a 3 month period. They want to increase their revenues by 60% in a 3 month period. But you have to realize that it's not just that quick fix, that magic bullet or that one off, because we're looking for, okay, did Paramount acquire something? What did Paramount do? But you're making the case, or you're making the point that you did a number of things over the past 2 years that are now beginning to see this. So on that point then, Hugh, can we expect to see these numbers sustained and see additional revenue growth going forward in the coming quarters?
Well, I would believe so because the fundamentals are in place and we're still clarifying some things. We're onboarding some different talents. And as you know, business isn't easy. It's probably the easiest part about it is to talk about it. But the change of mindset and the change of persons, and for persons to believe that we can be different, and having persons believe in a vision, even though they're not seeing it, is not an easy task. So we've done a lot of things differently. We've onboarded persons to help us mentally, if you want to say psychologically, to create the change, and as well as onboard other talents. So we
They have
believe we
a
have.
in-house psychologist now.
So yeah, we do have a counselor that is pretty much on board for any
Oh,
person who want to speak and have conversations, because
that's great.
we've seen it coming out of COVID that persons have all kinds of issues, but if people are not at their best, they can't be their best, so they can't
Absolutely.
give their best. So it might seem like a waste of money, but it's really
No,
not.
no, no, no. Have you seen the show Billions, the Netflix show Billions?
I haven't, but Tell
So
me,
it's
maybe I
interesting
should.
because they employ like a top of the line psychiatrist, and all their leaders must go to her regularly, and she helps them to overcome any mental barriers that they may have in meeting their targets and so on. So it's interesting that you now have this in-house counselor for your team, and in this age where mental health really matters.
Yes, and we find that, like myself, a lot of us struggled with the changes and real life changes, and it was evident that strengthening and supporting your team members would really help to make them better. And a better person is just better across the board. So they're going to give more and of themselves. And if people are happy, they're happy. So we believe it is working for us, and it has done well. And it's a model that we will continue to improve upon, and allow for more access, even externally, so that persons can have more access to persons just to talk to. And it doesn't matter, it could be about work. I don't know what they talk about, about life and struggles and how
Right.
you do things, but pretty much a better person is a better person, and
Right.
we believe in that.
Absolutely. Let's take a couple more questions from the audience. So this one comes from Javon, who wants to know how long Paramount Traders has been around and how do you plan to be a company of the future?
Okay, some good questions. So we started in 1991, so we're just over 30 years old, and we have pivoted, and we have making our moves in the manufacturing space, which we will continue to dig into. So we have a lube plant that we have built 5 6 years ago, thereabout, and we need to build out that plant to make sure that we have full capacity, 24 hours uh, working, and focus on the next step is into export in more a structured way. So right now we export, but it's on a spot basis. But we need to step that up. That every week we have some containers going out, or every month,
Uh,
so we
where do
can
you
budget
export
for
to
it.
now?
So we do spot to we have done spot to Trinidad. We have done to even to Miami. We've um, done a spot shipment, and so there are one or two countries that come to us,
So
and
by
we
spot shipment, you mean just like a one-off, maybe if
yes,
they're
a one
having
off, yeah,
maybe they're
but
having like a supply issue, they come to you and you just
right,
fill out that one-off need.
correct. But
Yeah.
what we
Oh
want to do
yeah.
is establish proper relationships with distributors and or importers that we can support in a proper way. So that's what we are working on now. So we're working with Jam Pro to develop that. They have a program, Export Max, that they're working with us, and they provide mentorship and all of that for companies like Paramount. And as you know, the export market has its own nuances. Every
Hmm.
country has its own rules. So it's not just a walk in the park. You have to learn how to do it and to do it properly.
Absolutely.
So
That's a
we're there.
huge opportunity, that export market. I mean, the world is your oyster.
Yes, and you we have to go there because Jamaica is only 3 million, right? So you can add some millions by tapping into to these other countries, and whereas we're manufacturing, then CARICOM becomes a thing, so you can go into the countries without tariff. And as you know, great things are happening in Guyana, so we shouldn't sit in Jamaica and allow all that great things to pass us and not
Yes.
get a piece of it.
Big opportunity over in our South American neighbor. So, following up on that question about how long Paramount has been around, 30 years, you said, and you've been on the junior market of the Jamaica Stock Exchange for just about 10 years. Next year, 2023, will be 10 years. So, it's going to be the end of your 10-year tax break. So, how have you prepared for this change coming up next year?
Well, the preparation, as you know, you can't wait. So one good way to deal with that is to make profit so you can pay your taxes.
Yeah,
As you
it's a
don't
good
pay
answer.
you have to make profit to pay your tax.
Good
So,
answer, yes.
we're definitely sizing up, and what you're seeing is the move towards that we making the move coming out of COVID and continue to make the move. And as we go further and dig deeper in the manufacturing, we definitely hope to be, a force to reckon with, and a part of the big boys, because we're out of the junior now, or soon. So we have to join the big boys and do what they do. So, all the main market players, we have to represent with them, and emulate them, and justify our position of that the time on the junior market wasn't wasted.
No, perfect. Yes, yes, I love to see it. Next question comes from Alton. Speaking of those profits, he wants to know, will any of these earnings be passed on to investors in the form of dividends?
Well, that question, I'm not sure how I can answer that, because we have some rules. So, being
Mhm.
on the stock market, there are some rules before making announcement that you need to inform your regulators, like the Jamaica Stock Exchange, and also that's a call for the board. So, in terms of what we had in our IPO, is that 25% of our profits will be paid in dividends. In terms of how the dividends are paid, in terms of when the dividends are paid, that's a decision that is decided by the board and based on the strategic direction, and that will inform that. So that's not strictly left up to me to decide. If that were left up to me, then for sure.
Well, when last have you paid dividends?
The last financial year we paid dividends, the last financial year. So it's something that,
2021.
yeah, it's something that we believe in, and I said it was in the IPO. But as you know, that's a decision that the board takes based on the company and its objectives, and its growth agenda. So I wouldn't want to dig too much into that and get myself into trouble and have Mrs. Street Forest from the Jamaica Stock Exchange, calling me and chiding me about making public announcements and not
Mm-hmm.
doing the right thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, fair enough. The next question, speaking of the IPO, comes from Lenworth, who says IPO price was $2.43 back in 2012, but it closed at 195 today. Any plans to help the share price move up, share buyback, or mergers?
Well, just to set it in context, you're correct. We went on at 243, but the stock went up to, I think, 30, almost $35, and we had a 10-to-1 split. So I'd ask that that be taken into consideration when you're looking at the 195, because if you look at that, then um, it would have a different look uh, than just 243 and your
Right.
195, because you actually went up to $35. So I'd ask to bear that
What
in
year was the
mind.
stock split?
Good question. Could be 5 years ago. I did not have that answer for you.
Yeah, it's
Um,
been a minute.
Yes,
Suffice it to
but
say, it's been a little while, a few years.
yeah, but a few years that we had the stock switch. So it could be for 5, 6 years ago. And so yes, the other side of the question, though, in terms of the share price moving up, I think we're doing the right things, making profit, and I believe that would be the main driver. Once a company is profitable and is showing that profit, then persons would be interested in buying the stock because they want to be a part of a good thing. So yeah, I would say we're doing reasonably well because we're coming from just out of COVID. We're coming probably from $1 or close to $1, and we've traded now above $2. So I think that the fundamentals are correct, and you will see big things coming as we go along.
Big things. I always have to ask about what's coming up next. So I have a couple more questions that I'm going to take from the audience. And I notice as well that they're saying that the stock split was in 2016. So the audience on Taking Stock here, always on their game. They know their information. So the stock split was 2016. So a couple more questions. This one coming from Khalil Mitchell, who wants to know what are the plans for the growth of the business segment related to road materials and asphalt?
Okay, so the Seeker construction products, which we haven't spoken a lot about, is one of the big growth areas in the construction. Because as you know, construction is up 12 and a half, nearly 13%. And we are also benefiting from the growth of that sector. So our construction products and segment has grown quite a bit as well. In terms of the expansion of the construction products, I can't say at this point which direction we would go, but there are quite some interesting things happening in construction, and we are looking at that, and we want to really play in the future. So where you have low carbon construction, and you get into carbon credits and that kind of a thing. Those areas are quite interesting and futuristic for us in terms of growth areas. And those are some of the things that we're interested in to look at how we progress in the areas that can help the environment to be better and to sustain ourselves and to make sure that when we make money, we can enjoy it because we look after, where we live, you know.
Absolutely. So the final question now comes from Elaine, who wants to know how important is R&D to the company, and do you have any new product lines in the making?
Right. R&D is absolutely important because it's the future, and we're always at it. We have a number of chemists on board, and our base is technical. So we have a good team of technical persons, and we're always looking at the research and development area, and it's a difficult area to say much about because then you probably give away some of the things you're working on. Like I just gave a little tidbit about how we're working in the future to about these um, carbon positive buildings and construction. So, but yes, it's very important, and there's a lot of work that we're doing. And for example, R&D has brought low sodium baking powder that we don't do well in marketing, but that came from R&D for the persons who are interested and their dietary needs are restricted, and they want to go to low sodium products, for example. So that's one product that R&D has developed and delivered. So we tend to look at things that bring value not just to our pockets, but value to people and to persons. Your life can be better by choosing some options, you know, sugar substitutes and sweeteners, that kind of thing that can help to provide options in terms of person's dietary needs and so on. So
Right.
yes, very
Well, thank you so much for joining me, Hugh. I wish you all the best with Paramount Trading. We will continue to keep our eye on what you guys are doing over there. And let me know when you start the consistent exports, because we need to get that US money, right?
indeed.
When you
Indeed.
sign that deal, just make
Mhm.
sure you let us know over here at Taking Stock. That was Hugh Grant, CEO, and Hugh Graham, sorry, CEO and founder of Paramount Trading. Let's go to our audience for this week's poll question. How do you feel about Elon Musk finally completing his buyout of Twitter? So, A, it's about time. B, I feel like I should be scared. C, looking eyes. Hmm? D? Mm. Or other, you can just leave a comment and you can take that poll on Twitter or in the community section of YouTube. Up next, we've got your market recap, and the analysts are standing by.
This segment of Taking Stock was brought to you by Bulwark Insurance Agency, Insurance Made Easy. Time now for your market recap. The JSE Combined Index lost almost 15,000 points or 4% in October. 129 stocks traded across the main and junior markets for the month. 37 made gains, 81 lost value, and 11 stayed the same. 470 million shares changed hands on the Jamaican dollar market, valued at $2.3 billion. Now here's a look at some of the highlights for the month of October. The main index fell almost 4%. The junior market fell 4%. The financial index lost 5%, and the manufacturing and distribution index lost 2%. Wigton Wind Farm was October's most traded stock. It took up 23% of market volume, with people buying and selling 109 million shares in the company. The stock opened in November at 67 cents. The stock was also the second biggest gainer for the month. Fosrich was the month's second most traded stock. It gained 15 cents to open the new month at $4.28. And Trans-Jamaican Highway rounded out October's most traded. It lost 10 cents to start November at $1.37. Now let's see who had the biggest gains for the month. Knutsford Express was October's biggest gainer. The stock opened the new month at $9.64 after gaining 29%. And JMMB Group 7.25% was the third biggest gainer behind Wigton Wind Farm. The stock was up 20% to start November at $3.16. On the losing side now, MPC Caribbean Clean Energy USD was last month's biggest loser, down 39% to open the new month at 61 cents US. PBS 9.75% cumulative redeemable was the month's second biggest loser. The stock was down 23% to open November at $107. And rounding out the biggest losers was Epley Caribbean Property Fund SCC. The stock fell 22%, closing the month at $38.01. Over on the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange, the composite index lost 27 points last month. Massey was the most traded stock for the month. It opened November at $4.50 DT. LJ Williams Limited was the market's biggest gainer, up 7% to open the new month at $2.20 TT. And on the losing side, JMMB Group fell 10% to open the week at $2 TT. It was a relatively good month for U.S. exchanges. The Dow Jones was up 11%, the S&P 500 gained 5%, and the Nasdaq gained almost 2%. At the pumps, gas prices fell $8.75 in October. However, diesel prices got more expensive by $3.06 a litre. In foreign exchange, overall, the Jamaican dollar weakened in October, losing $1.34 to close the month at an average $154.13 for $1. The Jamaican dollar also weakened against the British pound and the euro last month. Finally, on the crypto markets, Bitcoin prices rose 5% over the past 30 days. The cryptocurrency was trading at $20,480 on Monday. And Ethereum rose 18% over the past 30 days, trading at $1,571 on Monday. This segment of Taking Stock, The Analysts, is brought to you by JMMB Group, your best interest at heart. Disclaimer. This is not intended as financial advice. Please consult a licensed financial advisor before making investment decisions.
All right, welcome back. It is time now for the analysts, but first let me take a few more of your comments, and I see some good ones coming in. Shout out first of all to Coconuts About You, who says, hello, it's my first time joining from the Turks and Caicos Islands. We always love having first timers, and we hope to have you back. Chantel says, I look forward to the country capitalizing on this opportunity to export limestone and remember to ensure environmental sustainability as it does so. And then nonsense, come with the nonsense. Well, let me not call it nonsensical. Who knows? He says, Elon should hire Kanye as Twitter's new CEO. You got jokes. I see why you call yourself what you call yourself. And then Corinne saying, just hope Trump doesn't get back access. I'm sure that he actually is going to, because Elon already says that he plans to unban all these people. And then we have a comment here from Elaine saying, IPO in the atmosphere. Everyone's selling off to get their 10K shares. Blood is in the streets, but opportunities are calling. Something is coming. I told you, about 2 weeks ago that something is coming up, and possibly this week. Quite possibly this week, something is coming. I don't know what exactly yet, but you're right. IPO absolutely is in the atmosphere. So it's time now for the analysts, and it's another Girl Power Analyst show tonight. I'm joined by trader at JMMB Group, Shauna K. Kelly, and founder and CEO of Profit Jumpstarter, Keisha Bailey. Welcome, ladies.
Hi, good evening.
Hi.
Hey, great to see you. I love when we have all women on, because in this industry, it's often all men. So give the ladies a turn.
Yeah.
So, Shauna K, this evening we are talking not about a specific stock, but an issue that's important to personal finance, and that is a pension plan. And why is it important to have a pension plan as a part of your investment portfolio?
You see, Kalila, that's the thing that a lot of persons don't understand, is that pension is also a part of your investment portfolio. And one should have a pension fund because it depends on the pension fund that you have, whether you're a government worker or a private sector worker. You need a pension that will supplement that investment portfolio, because bear in mind that no reward is guaranteed when you invest. So you need to leave a little bit in the kitty to ensure that you're able to fund the lifestyle that you want after retirement.
And one of the great things about investing in a pension fund is that you get tax benefits. So explain that.
All right. So for most of us, when we invest and when we sell stocks or we buy stocks or we get dividends, what we see is that government takes its share of or profit or cap gain, whatever it is, the government do take their share. So with our pension, we're able now to take funds from our salary, and it's actually taken out before government takes their percentage of your salary. And then when it goes into a pension fund, what happens is that your return is not taxed, your dividend is not taxed, everything goes towards your future retirement. And for me, that's a big plus, because you save a lot, because the government takes out close to 25%. So imagine you being able to take out more before government can take their portion of taxes from your salaries, and you get to invest that in a vehicle that does not charge taxes. They do charge some fees, but there are things in place to ensure that, if they don't meet a certain requirement in terms of interest rate or excess over inflation, then you won't pay any fees. So, I mean, that's a win-win situation for anybody.
Right. That's a huge benefit of investing in a pension fund. You get to put that away before the government gets to touch your money. Somebody, however, is strongly noting that the tax is actually deferred, because when you withdraw it upon retirement, you do have to pay tax on it at that point. Is that correct?
That is correct. But here's the thing. You are now investing, and what we normally see is that investment managers go out there and they look high yielding instruments. So even if you're paying taxes on the back end, we get to have our cake and eat it, because we don't pay taxes on it when it leaves our salary, and we don't pay taxes on it when we get capital gain, dividend distribution. So we're actually getting our cake and eating it at the same time. And let's look at it. This is, for some of us, this is 40 years in the future. For some of us, this is 10 years in the future. So if you are able to save taxes on 10 years of investment, I mean, we can be grateful and say, okay, government can get their portion at the end of the day.
Right, because you still get the benefit of having that money work for you, work in your interest over those multiples of years that the
Correct.
government could have had that money. So Stronglink says, yes, it's still very advantageous, or advantageous. How do you pronounce that word? Keisha, what's your thought on those? Because Teron says that pension fund is for those with a 9 to 5 mindset. Do you agree with that?
Not necessarily. So the thing with pension investing or retirement planning in general is the ability to be able to invest pre-tax money. So think about it. You're investing that $5 before tax. So you have the ability for that $5 to grow over the long term, and then the tax is taken at the end. That's a better position to be in than be investing $3 after tax and then leaving that to grow. So way more efficient from a tax perspective. Now, with all these new investment options, you don't necessarily need to be in a pension plan in your 9 to 5. You have independent retirement solutions, I think, like JMB has, that you can invest in as a self-employed person or a sole proprietor, or you're doing your own little hustling. You still have to think about the future. So you could also do one of these independent retirement solutions. They are very good. They are still investments. And of course, everything has to speak to each other, but you can have that as well. So not necessarily something for the 9 to 5. Retirement planning is something for everybody, because everybody's going to retire. So you have to think about it, whether you're doing it in a pension fund where you have the ability of getting that matching from your employer, so forth, or you're doing it on your own in an independent retirement solution, but you're still contributing to your future retirement. That's what's critical.
Right. So Corinne is making the point that tax is deferred, but 30 years tax-free is still a great deal. So any other points on the pension plan issue?
All right. So for me, Kalila, what a lot of persons don't understand is that as time progresses, we do have inflation to contend with, that like what we're contending with now. And so for me, going into a pension plan where not only you contribute, but to some extent your employer contribute on your behalf as well, it means that you're getting extra money that, yes, you've worked for it, but you're getting extra money in some sense to keep you at that point in time. Bear in mind, we always say that pension is just a part of what you need, just a part of what you need to survive after retirement. It's not the holy grail or anything like that. It's just a part of what you need. So the more you have is the more comfortable your lifestyle will be, because over time you're used to a certain lifestyle, and when that cash flow stops coming, you're going to be in problems. So you want to ensure that, while you're in your 20s, your early 20s, and some persons might think that's too early for retirement planning. It's never too early. It's never too early, because the
I don't
more
feel
you
like it's too early. I think a lot of people, like if you're my age, in your 40s, people might think it's too late. Is it too late to start?
it's never too late to start, because as it is right now, what we see is that, there's still the investment managers that are out there. Not everybody is as aggressive, but you do have some aggressive pension fund managers out there that will work with you to help you to build that retirement portfolio that you're looking for in terms of pension. There's still other things, as I've said before, that will go with this. So you have your pension fund, whether it's your individual retirement scheme, or you're contributing to one of the approved scheme that we have here in Jamaica. It's never too late to start.
And of course, you have some great programs there at JMMB. So just link Shauna K and her team if you're interested in one of their pension funds. Let me wrap up this little segment with two comments that I see from our viewers, two very interesting comments. So one of them comes from Roswell, who says, pension is fine. However, pension is still invested into companies and equities based on the economic conditions in any year. The pension fund does not guarantee the return one would love. And then another comment following up on that came from Lenworth, who said, I always find it interesting how pension funds are considered safe and stocks are considered riskier, but pension funds invest in stocks. What are your thoughts on that, Keisha?
It's the investing philosophy. So pension funds are long-term in nature. The managers of the pension fund, being an ex-portfolio manager myself, we tend to look long-term, and that's where the whole safety comes from, because our horizon tends to be 5 years or more. Flip it now when you're doing your own personal trading. For some persons, you're in stocks less than a day. So more risk for the short-term trades. But with pension plan, it's people's retirement. So it has a long-term focus. There's much more planning around risk management, having loss thresholds in place. So that's where the safety comes from, the strength of the investment process.
And I know I said I was going to wrap up this, but I wanted to take this last one as well, because this was an interesting one.
Kalila, before you go on.
No,
I'm
not wrapping up yet. Let me just make this point,
Okay.
and then I'll come back to you, Shauna K. Empress says, why not invest directly in the stock market, since the pension is based off the activity of the stock market? Maybe you tuned in late, Empress. The tax benefits, you don't get the same tax benefits if you invest directly in the stock market as opposed to putting it in a pension fund. So go ahead, Shauna K.
All right, this is in relation to the first question that was asked, right? As it is right now, the pension industry of Jamaica, they're seeking to get persons, once you're working, once you're employed, to be auto-enrolled in a pension plan. And what this means is that, more money will be there to spend on different instruments, which will cause the fund to diversify risk. And not only does that cause the fund to diversify more, but what it will do, it will leave the regulators to come up with a plan to expand the range or the universe of instruments that the pension funds can invest in. Because as it is right now, I think the pension fund has to invest 90% of their funds in local instruments. If we get more persons on board, it means we have more cash, and there are certain industries like the MSE industry, angel investing industry. Those industry will need funds. So if the if the regulators allow the pension fund to invest in more things, these are some of the things that, they will happily go for, because these have higher returns. Yes, there's still risk associated with it, but with reward come risk. And we want to ensure, as I said before, that, our pension fund managers, they're beating inflation. We're not just matching inflation, but beating inflation, because you want to ensure that when you put down your $5, you're not getting $5 in the end, or your spending power is not $5 in the end, but maybe $15 or $20 in the end. So yes, we do invest in stock market right now, but based on what is happening in the pension space, I think that, the regulators will loosen up a little bit, and, the universe of securities that we can invest in will get larger.
Yeah, I do remember hearing that discussion earlier this year and last year as well about what pension funds will be allowed to invest in. And it seems that we touched on a very important topic. I see lots of comments coming in on this pension topic in the chat. So we may need to circle back to this issue in another show. So we have a couple other things to discuss overseas. Keisha, you have been following the Twitter Days of Our Lives drama.
Yes.
Elon Musk has completed his acquisition of Twitter, and you just give us the update. What's going on with Twitter?
So finally, they said finally it's happening to me. It's finally here for Elon Musk. Finally, the moment he's waited for how many ever months is here. It has happened already. Elon Musk completed the acquisition of Twitter last week for $44 billion. That is great, because what essentially is going to happen now, he's going to take the company private. The company is going to now be delisted. He also made a series of changes once he came in. So right away, he fired the previous CEO, Parag Agrawal. He's gone. Also, the board has been dissolved, and quickly to implement, we spoke earlier about, whether Trump will be back on. Elon Musk had indicated possibly bringing Trump's account back on, but Trump had said, he's done with Twitter. So we'll see how that plays out. But essentially, Elon Musk has come in, cleaned house a bit, and he's now today announced that he's now going to be implementing a new program where you pay a subscription fee to have that blue tick,
$8
right? Verification that one of us dream of. You can now buy it for $20 a month. So he's revamping that whole the verification process, which right away, that's straight revenue coming in, a good move, right? So we're still waiting to see what other changes will occur, what else is coming on. I see also that Elon Musk.
I need to see how that verification thing will work, though, the paid for verification, because I feel like it defeats the purpose if you can simply pay for verification. But I don't know what the rules are going to be, if they still will go through the rigid verification process where you apply, and then once you get the verification, then you have to pay that monthly subscription fee. But have you had a chance to observe the market's reaction since this deal was completed?
Well, so the market's really looking at the series of changes that are coming. Are any of them going to bring more revenue? But it's going to be a private company, so not much we can do from an investment perspective. The shares are going to be delisted in short order. So we just really are looking to see what the moves will be for that company. And already straight revenue increasing coming through that subscription model right away. And also the programmers, the developers from Tesla are looking at the algorithm that Twitter uses to see if there are any opportunities for improving the algorithm. So moves are being made, still early days, I'm watching. But for us as investors, not much you can do if you're going to do very short-term trades ahead of the delisting, but still not much activity will be taking place because we know the delisting is coming.
Do we have any timeline on the delisting?
I haven't seen anything really come up as yet. But it's coming. Okay, it's gone private now. So
okay. All right. Well, we keep our eye on it. So the other thing is that it is earnings season in the United States. So how did some of the top companies do?
Not so well. Last week was, a bloodbath on the tech companies. It was a roller coaster. So far for the Q3 2022 earnings season, 71% of the S&P 500 companies have reported, and they've reported positive EPS. 68% of the companies have reported positive revenue growth. So that's looking good. What a lot of investors like myself have been looking at is the forward guidance. What is management saying about the future? Is management very optimistic? Is management saying, we're expecting recession, we're doing layoffs, we're doing cost cutting? So far, 28 companies have issued negative EPS guidance and 14 have issued positive EPS guidance. So still more negative guidance coming out. We see that now where companies that have reported negative guidance are being punished. You see the stock falling for Amazon a lot last week and Meta platform. They were both down over 20% in.
Yeah, Meta's taking a licking.
Yeah, it was brutal, very brutal. But the guidance generally is not very optimistic right now. So that doesn't really augur well for us as investors because we want things to look rosy. We want companies stepping out and ready to invest in growth. If they are not doing that, it creates more challenges now in terms of stock price because profits move share price. If the companies aren't optimistic about their share price, we're going to have a problem there.
I feel like when it comes to Meta, a lot of investors seem to be quite impatient with the move that they're making toward, all the investment that they're making in the metaverse. But they have to understand that metaverse, and they said it, Mark Zuckerberg said it when they changed the name to Meta, they rebranded. This is a long-term play. It's not an overnight thing that they're going to be reaping any rewards from their investment in the metaverse. But do you think it's fair of investors to say, you're spending all this money on the metaverse, on this futuristic project, but we need stuff now because Facebook has been bleeding, especially since Apple introduced this new this thing where you allow the users to block the ads, to opt in to ads. So their revenue model has taken a hit since that. I remember earlier this year, I think it was in March, I attended the AdWorld Marketing Conference, and that was like the number one topic. Everybody was huge. So scared that, we can't make any money selling Facebook or selling our stuff through Facebook ads anymore.
Right. Yeah, it's been big this year for a lot of the tech companies. Ad revenue has really taken a big hit because of that move from Apple. The thing also, Meta did announce, even with the name change, that we are moving in this direction. It is going to take time, but with investors, you have to keep repeating the same thing. Still, though, the main thinking was that Meta was overvalued because what happened at the announcement of, the change in name and the move toward the metaverse, the stock price really ran up very quickly in anticipation of what was to come. Nothing really had materialized, so we have to have a short-term correction. The valuation has to come down to reflect the reality that the metaverse does take time to build out. I believe that's what's happening. Just a little shake up, get rid of the fat a bit and really get the company closer back to its true valuation.
So David letting us know that Twitter's delisting date is November 8th. So that's next week right here, Monday coming. And then we have a question or really a comment from Roswell who says, Apple has business lines. However, I do believe they still need to do more, not just phones with different features. What do you think, Keisha?
Well, they announced they're coming out with their health services. That's going to be a big game changer because it started with the Apple Watch and, tracking health. That's going to be a really good revenue source for them because they're going to likely go the subscription route and give you different health metrics which you need. So they are coming with additional revenue streams.
Samsung already does that for free.
Well, I anticipate the Apple services may be a bit more elevated. We'll see what they come with.
Oh, you're one of those. You're one of those people, Keisha. Hear about
Apple services. I have a lot of the shares. And I'm pushing everybody to go into it. Yes.
All right. Well, we will keep our eyes on all of these stocks. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you, Shauna K, for introducing the pension discussion. It's something we absolutely have to follow up on another one of these weeks. Thanks again, ladies.
All right. Take care.
We will take a quick break and come back with the final words and your final comments here on Taking Stock.
This segment of Taking Stock, The Analysts, was brought to you by JMMB Group, your best interest at heart.
Hey, moneymakers, you're not an official part of the family until you have your merch. Visit KalilaReynolds.com/store to order your t-shirt and your mask today. Let's get this. So unsatisfying. Let's get this money. That's our show for this week. And okay, so next week, Tuesday is November 8th. Today is the 1st. For some reason, I had today as Monday in my head. So I was thinking 1 week from today is next week, Monday. Next week, Tuesday is November 8th. So that's going to be the delisting date for Twitter stock. All right. Thank you so much for watching yet another week. Make sure you like the video if you haven't done so just yet. Subscribe to the channel and share this video with a friend. Subscribe to the newsletter, guys. KalilaReynolds.com/newsletter is the place to be. And remember that all new email subscribers get a free copy of my broker guide. Make sure you turn on those post notifications so that you can be the first to see everything when it drops. And we do have a lot dropping in November and especially in December that you don't want to miss. We want to help people learn more about money so we can all get this money together. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Kalila Ray, and follow at KRM_business news on Instagram. If you want to connect with the analysts this week, check the description box below for their contact information. And you can also visit my website, KalilaReynolds.com, for financial information you can use however you like it. Watch, listen, or read. Just so you know, we do have a podcast version of this show. Now tell a friend about taking stock, because investing is the new sexy. So let's make it cool to talk about money. I'm Kalila Reynolds. See you next week.
Let's get this money.